Hey guys, coming in for the affair, season 2, episode 7. Okay, I know last week I was a bit harsh on the episode last week. I was really I just found it very weird on what as to what was going on. It was very strange. I really couldn't figure out what was going on, and I really thought the show was going in a weird direction. Luckily, this episode fixed all of that. I thought this was actually an amazing episode, and this is the kind of episode the affair needs to do every week, and especially the ending. Holy shit, was this a great episode! Also, I have to say, guys, this was the first episode that was Allison and Cole's perspectives that I actually really loved. I mean, I've liked their episodes. They just haven't been my favorite. They tend to be very, not that eventful. And this episode was huge. There was a lot that happened in this episode. There was a lot to talk about. And there were some really amazing scenes, I have to say. And for a Thanksgiving episode especially, I never thought this episode was going to be as crazy as it was. But it really was a crazy episode. Let's just get into it. And after this episode, I really feel we're headed for a really great rest of the season, definitely. If they can do episodes like this and I like episode 7, I will really love it because, like I said, this was definitely the best episode of the season. So let's first get to Allison stuff, which was actually really big. There was some really big stuff with Allison this episode that I really loved. We see that we've kind of gone into a time jump here because we see that now we're at this huge party at Harry's apartment by the park. Noah's book has clear come out. It's a huge hit. Allison is really not happy to be there, but she's looking really, she's looking good. She has like a dress on, but she's also really pregnant. So you can tell we skipped a lot of months, and Noah's clearly the hot author of the moment. Everyone's just loving him. They're talking to him like he's this celebrity. And first of all, one of the things I love about this particular scene is it really shows how celebrities' wives are. I mean, think of the person that like your husband or your wife is this big celebrity, and then you're kind of a nobody. You really see that in this scene. I thought it was really well done the way they handled that. And I thought that was definitely really great. I really liked this, I have to say. So there's a bunch of women there basically asking Noah questions, and one of the uptown ladies asks Allison what she does, and Allison just says that this is all she does. All she does is carry the baby, and you really see again how lost she is. Noah now has this publicist Eden. Let's talk about Eden. Like I said, Noah really is a dick. He really is. And I really feel that after this episode, they're really trying to show how Noah and Allison can never be together. Like they're together, but it was a horrible idea. And Eden especially, I really feel like Noah's gonna sleep with her. I mean, Eden clearly likes Noah, and she's hot. I will say that. She definitely is hot, and I could see why Noah did that. Obviously, he shouldn't cheat on Allison. I'm not saying that, but I feel like it's gonna happen. So Eden pulls him away. Allison's left on her own, and someone asks her if this is her first child. She hesitates before saying no, and it's a really sad scene because, of course, she lost Gabriel, of course, when she was young, and you really feel bad for her because of that. And this random stranger just starts having this conversation with her. It doesn't really seem like much to her, and he's asking her all sorts of questions like, why does Noah's book still say he lives in Brooklyn with his wife and 4 children? Is Noah even divorced yet? And she starts answering this question, but Ian then pulls her away, and she's really pissed off because this lady is actually an evil gossip journalist for Page 6, and obviously Eden is really upset because one, Allison not has permission before speaking, two, this could end up really bad if Allison says something bad about Noah, obviously. They want to get the most, they want to get the most positive response possible for that. So Allison takes refuge in the kitchen with the waitressing staff, who are much more sympathetic and generally cooler, and actually haven't read Noah's book. I thought that was interesting that the kitchen staff, out of all people, hadn't read his book. I mean, you would think that they would have, but no, they actually haven't read his book. So you really see them bonding with Allison very well in this episode, and I really like that. So basically, Allison begs Noah to leave. She really doesn't want to be there. You can tell she doesn't really like Eden either. She doesn't like any of it. She kind of just wants a normal life with Noah. I mean, we've seen it before. Allison just wants a quiet life. Think about season 1. When was Allison most happy? When she was riding that bike and she was, just by herself. She really is an outdoorsy person. She doesn't really like to be indoors a lot. And he's working. And he tells her that this is bad for him too, which I really feel is bullshit. I have to say what Noah says. He's like, this is bad for me too. This is not partying. I'm simply working. And he says flying in the morning's been canceled, so we'll have to fly out that night. And first, Franzen wants to meet him, so Allison gives up, goes home to meet her mother, and obviously it's really sad for Allison, but Noah promises that he will have the turkey. He will pick up the turkey for her. And we see Athena. It was actually pretty funny with the doorman. The doorman makes her wait in the lobby, and once inside the super fancy apartment, Athena is just really excited to see their apartment, obviously. She hasn't seen their apartment before, and she's really excited to. And this is the first time that we saw their apartment. They're no longer in that guest house. They now have this apartment, and we see the furniture and the space. She wants to know how much it costs, and Allison gives a tight smile and tells her that's impolite. She takes the thing, because the one thing you should never ask someone is how much something costs. It's just a question that you never ask anyone. I think Athena really doesn't understand that, which I think is pretty funny, but yeah, that's just something you should never ask someone. If you guys ever ask someone that, just don't do it. Just don't. So Allison gives a tight smile, tells her that's impolite. She takes Athena on a tour, and the boys have their own room. Stacy has this purple palace, and Whitney has never even come over, and she probably never will. You can tell why, obviously. She really doesn't like Allison very much. We've seen this. But the nursery, however, is being used as Noah's study, and Athena raises this eyebrow at this, obviously, because this is supposed to be the nursery for their child, and right now it's Noah's study. And you can tell that Athena, what I like about Athena is that as crazy as she really is valid in her points, where she says that, like, Noah really doesn't seem to care much about this child. He doesn't really seem to care much about you. It seems like Noah's focused on his book, and that's it. And he really is turning into kind of a workaholic, and you really see that here. So we also learned that they got a pre-cooked turkey from Dean and DeLuca, which actually sounds nice and relaxing. But for everything else, they cooked from a very old and weathered cookbook that was Allison's grandmother Jones. And Athena's still trying to figure out how they could still pay for this apartment. She's not crazy, which of course you need more than a 4,000 advance for an apartment like this. But probably because of Noah's book, that's probably why they did so well. So after some prodding, Athena figures out that Allison is considering selling her grandparents' place, which probably is worth a lot since it's in the ocean, obviously. So Athena is horrified. She's telling Allison, "You cannot go through this. This is not right to do," and that Allison would one day have a palace and security of her own. She suggests that Allison read the book before deciding, but it turns out that ship has sailed and the house is already in escrow, and Athena looks really upset with this. She actually looks like she's genuinely upset about what's going on here. So then they get to the guests, and the first to arrive is Jane, who we haven't seen Jane all season. It was nice to see someone actually bonding with Allison. I mean, we're not used to seeing Jane so much, but I like seeing Jane in this episode. Her and Allison's bonding is always really great, and I like seeing her. I like seeing Allison have a friend, which she really doesn't have all season. Allison just kind of wants someone to be there for her, and it really seems like Jane is one of those people that will always stick by Allison and will always be by her side, and I love that. I like that Jane is willing to stick by here. But the first thing that Jane asks is about Max, which I think was pretty funny. That the first thing that Jane asked was, "How's Max? What's he like?" I thought that was pretty funny. Because Jane's looking for someone, obviously. She's looking for someone, she's interested in Max, and she tells her that as long as he's not racist, then, she's fine with him. So as long as he's not racist, then she'll go with Max. Clearly, she has feelings for Max, and it's pretty funny. I like seeing that, that she wants to be with Max. So we basically then see, I thought that was definitely very interesting that we saw that, and let me get to where I was there. So Noah, keep in mind, by the way, guys, is still not there, and you can tell that she's not there. Um, and you can tell that she obviously isn't there. This whole conversation between Athena and Allison, like I said, I really liked. I have to say, I thought it was a very powerful scene. So Jane says it's been a year since the friends have, and we realize it's been a year since the friends have seen each other, and she gushes over the apartment and Allison being pregnant. Says as long as this smarmy Max isn't racist or Republican, that will do just fine. And like I said, I thought that was pretty funny. So they're flirting and kissing while the group waits for Noah, and Athena breaks up the canoodling with a gentler activity. The three women then head into another room and listen to Allison's baby's heartbeat, and Athena tells her daughter that there are two of them, not three, not seven, two, and Noah then shows up explaining that Franson took him out for drinks, and again, I really feel this is a load of shit. Hang on 1 second, guys, I'm getting a FaceTime. All right, guys, back to the episode. Basically, Noah shows up explaining that Franson took him for drinks. Eden's there too, and like I said, I really feel this is a load of shit. I don't believe most of what Noah says now. And the turkey he didn't pick up. I mean, seriously, what kind of guy is he? Like, seriously, what guy forgets to pick up a turkey? I don't understand. How do you forget to pick up a turkey? There was one thing she wanted to do. You had one job, Noah, and then you just forget the turkey. Like, seriously, this is the kind of guy that Allison thinks is good for her. Seriously, just think about it, guys. This is the kind of guy that Allison wants to be with. So Ian's there too, and now Dean and DeLuca is closed. Well, and obviously Dean and DeLuca is closed, which basically Athena says, have a listen to your heartbeat, and Noah says it gets him every time. Eden then bangs away on her cell during dinner. Noah gets a phone call too, and it's Helen wondering if Whitney's there while he deals with the situation and talks to the other kids. Allison proudly tells her guests that she and Athena have made the rest of dinner from her grandmother's cookbook, which was first published in 1927. So Max then toasts to Noah's success and happiness and Allison's considerable role in that. They set up about eating the turkeyless dinner, and Eden's phone goes off again, and it seems that Allison inadvertently chatted with the Post reporter, has hit the web, and instead of Ian being livid, she's actually thrilled about it, because any publicity is good publicity, which I can understand her point. I mean, obviously, if people know about the book, who cares what they think, as long as the book is popular. That's kind of how Eden sees it. She doesn't really see it as, this is bad or this is good. She just sees it as, oh, people know about the book, cool. Then that's a good thing for her. That's kind of how she sees it, and that's interesting. Um, Definitely that's quite interesting. I like seeing that. So again, though, Eden is a very interesting character. I'm interested in really seeing what's going to happen with that, because that definitely is going to be interesting. So basically, Max Toast. So I just read this basically, and Oprah then made Franzen, but Franzen, and she says that Oprah made Franzen, but Franzen isn't making him, and the sex pot is in your story is except the sex pot is pissed, and at the least opposing viewpoint coverage. Allison seduced Noah, and Noah's saying, oh well, that she's claiming that Noah followed her home. I mean, this gets into a really crazy stuff here, because Allison starts talking about how she doesn't like the way that Noah portrayed her in his book. Obviously, she doesn't like how she's portrayed as the sex symbol, and Noah tells her that Allison seduced him, but then we see that Noah followed Allison home. And what I like about this is that this is what we've seen from both of their point of views, and now we're really seeing how they remember the situation, because Allison had sex to titillate Noah. No, Allison had no idea he was even there, and about his riding to Allison's rescue at the hospital when her grandmother was dying, he just barged in. So all this stuff is different to her, and it's really interesting the way that she sees it all. So then we realized that, remember that whole thing with the car and Noah, obviously the thing I was most upset about, we realized that that was just him killing her at the end of his book. That was the ending that Harry wanted, and obviously she's really upset. She's like, did that happen? Am I remembering that part correctly? She's really pissed at him, obviously. So she leaves the room, Noah follows, she tells him to go away, he doesn't. He tells Allison that she has every right to be hurt, but Harry won't accept the book, wouldn't accept the book unless he wrote that ending, and he wants to be able to provide for their family. He will not promote the book as truth, he swears, and he says the book is just a story, and he says this is real, this is his real life, and she even asks him if he really wants the baby, and he says he does. And again, I don't really believe what Noah says. I want to, but I don't. So the doorbell rings, and then we get to this part here. We see John. He's talking to Alison. She confirms that she told Jeffrey she left the wedding before Scotty. Didn't notice anything strange about him. They barely spoke and were on okay terms. He wasn't happy about what happened with the lobster roll, but that was between him and Cole. And apparently he says that she's only going to have to be a character witness for Noah. And she seems to be a bit happy about that. So then we get to Cole, I thought had some really great stuff in this episode. I've really been liking what they've been doing with Cole, but this episode especially, I really loved everything going on with Cole. Everything going on with him was great, because he also reacts to Noah's book, but in a different way, and I like seeing that. So, right away, he and Luisa are having sex. Unfortunately, she then says, Te amo, which means I love you. And obviously, he doesn't see her that way. He doesn't really see it as loving her yet. And afterward, a distinct chill in the air. She invites him to her family Thanksgiving in Queens, but he says he's going to see his mom. She didn't know he was communicating with his family, and he says that she doesn't really know everything about him. But what she does know is that she told him she loved him and he lost his erection, and she knows that much. He escapes to go get muffins. Obviously, she's quite upset about it. So he escapes to go get muffins, and at the store, his phone rings. It's Scotty. He doesn't take the call, but he's right behind him. And I thought that was pretty funny that Scotty was right behind him. And he told Gold that he knows that Allison's house was sold. And again, I like this time jump, because now we know that Allison's house was sold, and he knows that Cole and Allison are still not divorced. And then he shows his brother some fresh ink on his forearm, his proposed logo for Lockheart, and all they need now is the cash to make it real. So the house is sold, but it's not to Scotty. because it seemed like Scotty wanted the house, but no, the house is not sold to him. So who is the house sold to? We don't know yet. The house is sold though. So Scotty tells Cole to just come to Thanksgiving, make amends, and get the family back on track. And by the way, be careful, Louisa. He really doesn't think that he should trust Louisa because the girl just wants her green card. But then Oscar, yes, Oscar's back in this episode, who looks completely different, may I say. He definitely has been working out. He definitely has been losing some weight. You can definitely tell in this episode. He strolls up to greet his fellow celebrities, and after all, they're all over Noah's book, and it's news to one but not really the other. And you see that, they're not really happy about Noah's book. So they return with muffins and coffee, and Noah and Cole notices that a photo of him and a toddler Gabriel has been moved, and he takes Louisa to task for it. She tells him that she knows he isn't going to his mother's, and no matter how much of a shit he's being, she still doesn't want him to be alone on Thanksgiving. And for her kindness, Cole accused her of stealing his money, and basically, he accused her of stealing her money, and that's the last straw, obviously. She really feels like, he's being a dick and tells him to go fuck himself, and she leaves without an apology. The difference between Noah and Cole is that Cole has a reason for doing all this. He just doesn't really know if he can trust her after what happened with Alison, which is understandable. Noah is just a dick because he's a dick. That really is the difference between Noah and Cole, if I really had to sum it up. So, Cole goes back into town, and basically he buys Noah's book and reads some, and then heads for his mom's. And during the Lord's Prayer, Scotty minds his phone. Somebody's got to take charge of. He basically minds his phone. Despite this ending, the clear change in the familiar circumstance, Caleb still wants to begin the family Thanksgiving tradition. And Cole's home after all, and that's something that's right there. So they pass around a small bowl of their granddad's moonshine, each taking a sip and revealing what they're thankful for. And Cole then thanks Noah for writing his book about Alison, about him, about all of them. Have they read it? And he explained how the Lockharts are represented in Noah's book, called the Reinhardts, which makes a pretty convincing case that lawlessness in the family is the family way, because Grandpa Silas, you realize, was a bootlegger and also was a baby killer. So he wasn't a very good man either. And though the family lore suggests that Silas extracted revenge on the Hodges family via arson, Noah evaluated the crime to murder. In fact, this stranger from the city seems to know a lot about this. He knows a lot about them. We don't really know how, but he knows a lot. So Cherry comes clean and basically says that the boy's grandfather was actually a horrible person. Beat their father, beat their grandmother. She turned to Thomas Hodges for love. A baby was born in the Union. When Silas found the boy wasn't his, he drowned the infant, and Hodges torched Silas's land as revenge, and their dad wanted to break the cycle of violence. But Cherry tells Cole that you don't recover from that kind of childhood, and she thinks that the family is cursed because the sins of the father are visited on the sons. Cole's son with Alison died, Scotty's baby with Whitney, Hal and Mary Kate's miscarried child. There's never going to be another Lockhart, and that's really interesting, what we thought here. Especially the ending of this episode. We'll get into that, but that was definitely very interesting, and she said, there's never going to be another Lockhart. This isn't going to work out for us anymore. It's really interesting, that whole scene. I really found that interesting. So Cherry delivers a final blow, saying you think you're better than him, and she says that he's not. And Cole leaves with Scotty at his heels, and he tells his older brother that the family needs him. He needs his money to change his family fortune. And it was a really powerful scene. But then we see Whitney comes in. Whitney comes in, and she wants to talk to Scotty, but Cole obviously wants nothing to do with her. But I like this scene between Cole and Scotty. Actually, Cole offers to take Whitney home back to the city, and on the way, she reminds him of the time he tried to kill her. And it was a nice scene because it wraps up some closure here. If he remembers correctly, he aimed the gun at her dad's heart, but in either case, he's sorry that she had to see it. And she exclaims that she remembers that he pointed it at her head, and of course, of course she remembers that, but of course that's not what happened. So Cole tells Winnie she needs to stop chasing Scotty. He doesn't care about her. That's just the way the world works. Just because you love someone doesn't mean they'll love you back. And that's true. I mean, that really is what happened with him with Alison. He really thought he loved her when she clearly didn't love him. And you really see how betrayed he was by that. And I like seeing that with his conversation with Whitney. It really goes with Whitney and Scotty. Obviously, two very different kinds of relationships, but very much the same sort of situation. So Cole offers her a little perspective. His own dad hung himself on Cole's 10th birthday, and he used to think it was about him, but now he realized that his dad was just drowning in things far bigger than a small battered boy. And he drops Whitney off at Noah and Allison's, dismisses her field trip to Montauk as she thinks she's in love, declines Noah's offer of a drink. He didn't much mean it anyway, and he shows up at Louisa's and then tells her that he's sorry. And I like he has a really great speech here. He says, I come from a long line of unforgivable men. I think I got used to being alone. It's been a while since I've had someone I cared about. I did it on purpose. I was trying to hurt you. I was trying to make you walk out of my house. And as soon as you did, I wanted you back. I can't promise you I'll be the best thing that ever happened to you, but I promise you I will never hurt you like that again. And I'm good for my word. I may not be good for much, but I'm good for my word. And it's just a really nice scene. I like the fact that he apologized to her. It was really sweet overall. And then we get to the ending of this episode. This was very interesting. We cut to John and his assistant watching footage of Scotty and Alison, and it's the complete opposite of what Alison says. She's yelling at Scotty, she's really pissed at him, and John says that he would give his right nut to know what Scotty's saying, and there is someone else in the room, Oscar, who knows what he's talking about. So he was outside the self-same building having a cigarette, having a smoke, and he heard the whole thing, and basically what he says that Scotty was saying is, that's our baby. Yes, that's what he said. He says, that's our baby, and this is very interesting that he said that's our baby, because of course, is this suggesting that this could be Cole's baby? I mean, I really don't like that, I have to say. If this does end up being Cole's baby, it is very interesting. But at this point, I really feel like Alison has been lying about a lot of things. I honestly don't really trust Alison. I think she's kind of shady, just like Noah is. And you really see that here with Alison. I really honestly don't trust her after this. I think definitely she's hiding something and we don't really know what it is. And that definitely, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do that, because that overall is very interesting stuff. But overall, guys, like I said, a really great episode. I really loved it overall. Noah and Alison, clearly this episode showed that they can't be together, even though it tried to show them in a good way. They clearly can't be together. It's just not a good thing for them. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Like I said, I overall love this episode. Definitely the return of the show for me. I loved it a lot more than previous weeks. And I will see you guys in my next, which will be for tonight's episode of Arrow, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.